Hello, welcome to another video. Okay, so this morning I travelled over to Manchester. It was a bit gloomy, a bit rainy. I know you like the weather report. The skies were grey, but that's Manchester. It tends to rain a lot there, doesn't it? So the reason I went there was I wanted to see what was left of Maine Road in terms of the commemorative plaque, which is what you're looking at now actually, which marks the spot where the centre spot was. So there you go, I found it. It wasn't that easy to find, to be honest, but it wasn't that hard either. Because I went so early in the morning, I didn't really want to be talking loudly into a camera and annoying anybody, any of the neighbours. It was around about 8 a.m, so I thought, well, what I'll do, I'll just take some footage and then I'll talk a little bit when I get home, which is what I'm doing. So I'm going to talk a bit about Maine Road, and just for those of you that don't remember it, or you might be a little bit too young or whatever, we'll just talk a little bit about it now, okay, on this video. So what I'll do now, I'll just press play. So yeah, they've actually commemorated the centre spot with that little plaque there with the football in the middle. So I'll tell you a bit about Maine Road then. So the name Maine Road actually comes from a law that was created called Maine Law by the temperance movement. Now the temperance movement, they did actually own the land where Maine Road was built, and one of the conditions was the change of name to Maine Road in recognition of their law. So it was actually on Dog Kennel Lane prior to that, the actual ground itself, until the name was changed. So I'm just whizzing round there now and I'm just showing you a little bit of perspective. So what they've done, they've created some affordable housing with some of the money from the sale of the ground, I'm assuming. So there we are, some affordable housing there. Great place for you and your mates to have a game of footy with the jumpers down. You know, just imagine you're playing at Maine Road. So that would be the centre circle, and obviously the kick-off point in the middle of the centre spot. Okie dokie then, so a bit more about Maine Road, what it was. Man City played there from 1923 to 2003, and during that time there was some significant games there, and they actually hold the record, to Man City, for the largest attendance for a club playing at their own ground. Okay, and that was in an FA Cup game against Stoke City, and Stanley Matthews was actually playing for Stoke City that day as well, so it's quite an interesting fact is that one, and that was in an FA Cup 6-round tie in 1934. Now another interesting fact is that during the war Old Trafford got badly damaged in the Blitz, so what they had to do after the war was Man United and Man City shared the ground of Maine Road, with Man United paying City £5,000 a season and a share of the gate receipts. And what Man United did during that time in 1948, they actually broke the record for the largest attendance at an actual league game, and that was against Arsenal, and that was 83,000 people. So Maine Road that's got the two attendance records. They may have been broken now with all these large stadiums. Oh, look, a black cat. Oh, am I going to get some luck? But we'll see. I mean, if you can let me know in the comments, that would be great. Okay, so a bit like the Don Revie story, there was a bit of an urban myth that the ground was cursed by gypsies as well, and that seems to be the case for a lot of these grounds, because obviously before they were built a lot of traveller sites were on this wasteland, so that again is a bit of an urban myth, I believe. Okay, so that's that. So when they actually moved to the Maine Road site, obviously it's in the south of the city, and there was a bit of disquiet about that because they've always been based in the east at Ardwick, because the club did actually form in 1880, so it was 43 years earlier, but there was some sort of wrangle about the lease and this, that and the other, so they had to move and find a new home, you see. But the actual manager at the time, Ernest Mangnall, he was all for the move, so that's why they did it, to be honest. Right, okay, so a little bit more about Maine Road then. Man City have always been known to have a very large pitch, and Maine Road was no exception. It had a huge pitch. Even the City of Manchester Stadium now has a large playing surface. Another matter is every ground, really, every team has a vociferous stand, and the Man City one was called the Kippax, and that's where all the guys who did all the singing and the chanting and all the flags and the scarf waving and all the rest of it primarily went into the Kippax. So what's next? There's been various redevelopments over the years and attempts to actually get Man City up to the level of their counterparts, I guess, United. What that's done inadvertently really is created an imbalance with different size stands and so on and so forth. And then when the club actually spiralled down the leagues, the planned big refurbishment to get everything balanced was put on ice, put on hold, put on the shelf, whatever, cancelled basically. And then obviously the Commonwealth Games that occurred in 2002, after those, then the City of Manchester Stadium, as it was called then, became available. And the rest is history. Sheikh Mansour and his millions and so on and so forth. There is a sad story to finish this, unfortunately. The last ever goal scored by a City player at Maine Road was on the 21st of April 2003, and it was netted by Mark Vivian Foe, and he was a Cameroon international. But sadly, 45 days later, he actually died playing for Cameroon in the Confederations Cup, so it's rather sad that. Also on that last game at Maine Road, however, there was a concert afterwards, and the two bands that were playing were Badly Drawn Boy and Doves. No Oasis or no Johnny Marr, but Badly Drawn Boy and Doves. Now, Maine Road did have a number of concerts during that period when all the big acts came, like Bryan Adams and Fleetwood Mac and so on and so forth. Rolling Stones, perhaps, they probably did it as well. It did facilitate a lot of concerts as well when they were trying to raise money and funds. Okay, I think that's it really.